The Cedar River is an integral part of everyday life in Cedar Falls. Without it, the city would not be as great as it really is. That's why local musician Raldo Schneider and some friends decided to help preserve this natural resource through what has become known as the Cedar River Festival.
It was big flood in million acres of rolling mud. It was a trillion tons of misery coming over the levee, turning the land into the sea, turning me into a refugee. I think we could agree that the great flood of 08 was the biggest flood in history.
Much of Raldo Schneider's music is tied to his surroundings here in northeast Iowa. Whether he's singing about the flood of 08 or the local come-and-go convenience store, you could say Raldo's voice resonates through the Cedar Valley.
I get a lot of ideas just sitting around listening to people talk, just keeping your antenna up, try to get ideas here and there. Don't make it, try to make it happen, just let it happen. I don't know, I like the outdoors and stuff, so a lot of my songs are about the outdoors. I've written songs about the river a lot, you know, anything. Wrote a song about Grandma playing Powerball, you know, at the Petro Express, buying, you know, just things like that.
It's homegrown music. It's the kind of music that makes people feel good. A lot of his music is just from life experience. A couple of his songs were things that him and I had experienced together.
John Stortz, the band's guitar player, helped with an early recording and stayed on with Raldo ever since. Meanwhile, Travis Smiley traded in a saxophone for a bass and a chance to play with Schneider. The three have now been playing together on and off for about 20 years. But before Schneider began performing with his current band, he helped form an environmental and musical tradition in the Cedar Valley that has lasted a quarter of a century.
25 years ago, a bunch of us got together over a beer in a local pub called Stebbs and decided that we were going to have a river cleanup.
I was working for Blackhawk County Conservation Board, and Raldo came on, and he was working there in the summer, and we got to know each other and came up with this idea, and I said, yeah, let's do it.
The river cleanup became known as the Cedar River Festival, and it paired a day of picking garbage out of the local river with another day of music and celebration. The event drew inspiration from the Mississippi River Revival, with which Schneider was involved.
These guys were floating down the Mississippi, then they'd have little festivals, not every town, but along the river they'd have a festival on Sunday or Saturday or whatever. And the local people would come out and hear the music, and that'd get them involved in the river cleanup too. So the music was a big part of it.
Schneider, Dunnigan, and other longtime cleanup volunteers witnessed an impressive community response within the Cedar River Festival's first years. The inaugural event drew 12 canoes and then shot up to nearly 75 canoes in just 2 years.
A bunch of the local politicians, and like Chuck Grassley was on the float, and Mayor Cruz and Dave Nagel and all those guys. So it took off pretty fast, and about 25 years later it's still going.
It's been a great experience. It's been a good thing, you know, because I was thinking the other day, you know, I was thinking, what if we had never done it? How bad would it be? Because I think by the time I was the president, we'd pulled out somewhere over 40 tons of garbage. You know, just trying to picture that in my mind. What if nobody cared? And so it's really great that people do this.
Volunteers at the Cedar River Festival never have a dull experience from year to year. The fulfillment of helping a worthy cause, coupled with a day of fun and entertainment, keeps many coming back. Plus, there always seems to be some strange objects pulled from the river, worthy of a good story.
We used to find everything, you know, toilets and cars and you name it, you know, kitchen sinks.
My favorite memory, one of them was Mark Fox. And I don't remember who was with him. He was a president one year also, I believe. They had picked up some giant barrel, and I don't even know how they kept their canoe floating, but they came in, and it was just such a picture to see. You know, they had so much garbage on their canoe that it's a wonder they even made it down the river. It's nice to enjoy something when you're giving, you know, instead of enjoying it when you're taking, you know.
While Raldo Schneider's music continues to make its mark in the Cedar Valley, it's the Cedar River Festival that will probably make more of a lasting impression. You could say that the River Festival is Schneider's way of saying thanks to something that has provided him with so much inspiration. For the Arts Overlook, I'm Tim Getty. It's Shamrock season, and what better way for the Arts Overlook to celebrate the occasion than to feature the area's favorite Celtic band, Banish Misfortune. I recently caught up with the laddies and ladies of the band and was also treated to an exclusive live performance.
The origins of the band, it's really evolved over, I think it's been about 4 years or so. There was a place down on the hill, and it was just a session group. People could come, anybody could bring an instrument, play, anyone who was interested in Celtic music. And we started chatting and we said, do we want to take something that's just a session group and start practicing and actually rehearse pieces, work on arrangements? And we were like in total agreement on that. The material that we do is in some cases, it's 300 years old, and we don't even know who wrote it. Fortunately, somebody wrote it down at some point, but it's a joke in the band that one of our favorite authors is traditional or anonymous. The music has such a core element in terms of existence and fighting for survival sometimes, and the joy and the sorrow of the cycle that we go through as we live our lives. The biggest highlight, I think, is that we've become good friends in the band. I was in some bands when I was in college. They were really pathetic. They weren't Celtic bands, and there was always kind of infighting and people don't get along. Our band, am I right? You guys nod your head. We just get along when we have from word go. And with other Celtic players in the community. We've met dancers, harp players, bagpipe players, pipers, everybody else. That's been great. That's part of what this music does, actually, is it draws and brings people together.